is the real reason you may have gone to magical thinking as a child and still dive into your own fantasies now as an adult. Watch this video. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new, please click the little subscribe button and the bell to receive notification when I release new videos. And if you've been with me for a while, thank you so much and welcome back. I want to mention a couple things before we start. The Patreon link. If you join Patreon, I think it's $10 a month, you will receive notes, homework, worksheets on each video after the video is posted. And if you want, I think it's $20 a month, you also receive me personalizing a question for you, an answer to your question every month. So something to check out. If you're not into coaching, you're not able to coach, this might be a good option for you. Also, I want to mention the Truth Room, my monthly membership for highly sensitive people, anyone who's been through emotional wounding or trauma as a child. We talk about narcissistic parents. We talk about narcissistic relationships. We talk about growing up highly sensitive, feeling like you don't fit in, like you're different in some way because this society does not recognize spiritual gifts. So if you want to look for your tribe, or you're looking for your tribe and you want to find your tribe and you resonate with what I'm saying, look for the Truth Room below. Lastly, we have a wait list open for my inner work class. You might want to check that out also. My holiday bundle is coming. It should be coming tomorrow. The bundle is incredible. If you haven't done my shadow work course and you want to, do it in the bundle, because not only do you get shadow work for a fraction of the price, 40% off, but you also get free my EFTs for free, my bundle of EFTs, and my bundle of soul snack meditations for free. So check out that holiday bundle. The link should be down here. If it's not, go to my social media and you'll find it there. All right, with all that said, because I gotta let you know what's up, let's dive in. Here's the thing. I had a session with a client today and she was talking to me about magical thinking, and I thought this is perfect. So often as children, we dive into magical thinking about things, fantasy. For her, it was different than it was for me. I won't talk about her because I have to keep it close. But for me, it was always Disney. I always had this fantasy about Cinderella or Beauty and the Beast, and I've played those out in my life. And the reason we do that is because we're trying to escape negative situations or emotions that we don't know how to handle. Abuse, oftentimes. Trauma, oftentimes. So we go to the escape so we feel good enough. We feel special. That's what my client told me today. She goes, when I went into my fantasy, my magical thinking, I felt special. Because oftentimes when we're in trauma and we're feeling very shamed or feeling very negative, trauma is expressed in opposites. So you'll go to fantasy. I'm a princess, right? You go to fantasy to balance it out. This is what the nervous system does. And when we're aware of it, we can catch ourselves in fantasy thinking. But what happens so often is we don't know what we're doing because we're just attracted to the things that remind us or mirror this image that we had for ourselves that was our escape, that was our savior, that was our safety, right? So I want to explain this because the other piece of the puzzle is my client was also talking about how separation as a child made her feel safe. Separation from reality, separation from self, mainly separation from her parents. But here's what happens to us as we mature and find ourselves safe in separation is we can grow up with intimacy issues. And what that can come out as is being attracted to emotionally unavailable partners. And so I was bringing this up to my client and she said to me, well, that's so interesting because my parents were emotionally unavailable and so was my boyfriend. And I said, well, here's the thing. I always talk about the narcissistic relationship as a reflection of the emotional imprint you had with parent, either mom or dad. You guys probably know I do a lot of mother wound work. Mother and other, it's going to be a mirror. You're going to have the same emotional experience. So if you're safe with separation and you feel like you might have an intimacy issue, even though you're with a narcissistic partner who's love bombing you and you don't think that's intimacy issue, it actually is because it's not real. It's love bombing, reject. Love bomb, reject. That's not true intimacy. True intimacy is consistent. It's authentic. It's being real. It's not having this image. Narcissistic type parents and partners are very obsessed with image. How does it appear to everybody else? We don't care how you feel. We care how you appear. And I want to mention something else in this. Now that we're talking about fantasy thinking, I had a client 2 days ago who said to me, yeah, but why, like my parents were emotionally unavailable and narcissistic, but I had incredible birthdays. I said, of course you did. She was like, yeah, right? Does that mean that I was wrong about my bad childhood? I go, no. This is a tactic a lot of narcissistic type parents do to gaslight you, to make you think when you go through memories and photos, look at my amazing birthdays. I must have been wrong about what I thought about them. I must have been wrong about them being mean. I must have been wrong because look at all the things I got to experience. It's kind of like your narcissistic partner who's like, look how much I give you. You don't have the right to complain when I sleep with other women, right? It's gaslighting. Those are extremes, but it's true. So when we're in our fantasy thinking, we don't realize that the magical thinking, the fantasy thinking was safe for us as a child as a coping mechanism for our reality. But it's very unsafe as an adult because it takes us away from the magic, the miracles that happen in the now. When we're constantly out there in a fantasy and not present, we're not safe. Because when we start to be in better environments and we start to learn and heal, we need to be present in our own power so we can experience miracles. Miracles are being super present in divine time. I can't be in divine time if I'm up here in a fantasy world. And when I was explaining this to her, she was like, oh my God, it used to be her safety. Her safety was escaping into this fantasy of what this person will be because they have all these qualities and not allowing herself to ungaslight herself long enough to see what he was actually doing. Because here's what happens in these fantasy relationships, okay? Not based in reality relationships. It's very intense. It's very intoxicating because it's toxic. And what never happens is what you think will happen. You think, if I please them, because we're earning love in these relationships, just like we were with our parents. If I'm earning his love or her love and I'm pleasing her and I'm doing all the things that she needs, which makes me excited because I know how to do that, then they'll give me the ring. I hear this a lot with my younger clients. They'll give me the ring. Well, 7 years later, you didn't get one. Why? Because this is what they're really good at. It's the fantasy. It's not the reality. They're really good at coercing you into thinking, if you do one more thing right, maybe. If you give me this more time, maybe. In these types of relationships, what you have to understand in the fantasy is it will never be the reality. And what's so safe about reality now, instead of fantasy relationships, real relationships, what's so amazing is you're actually investing in something that's real. Part of codependency is depending on undependable people. Fantasy. Reality is finally investing in and depending on yourself, who is dependable, hopefully, and other that shows up for you with actions that are attached to these words. The thing with narcissistic relationships, fantasy relationships, their actions are never in alignment with what they make you think is true. You'll be like, oh my God, he's going to whisk me off here and he told me this. That was 4 years ago that he told you that. He's going to marry me so we can have babies. That was 7 years ago. You don't know how many times I talk to these clients. I'm like, I'm hearing you, but I feel like you've had the same message for 15 years. Well, I know, but eventually, let's stop for a minute. In a real relationship, when someone says, hey, we're in love and let's think about a family, that family happens within a year or 2 or 3. It's not waiting 7. Fantasy thinking to hold on to something that makes you feel safe because it's still a little separate, and that's your old safety mechanism. Really dive into that. True safety is being into me, I see with me, getting real. Am I fantasy thinking? And my client was really sad today. She's like, do I have to let go of the fantasy thinking? Oh, no, not at all. But you have to turn your fantasy thinking into your miracle having. And what that means is instead of this fantasy that's separate, be so present in the now, knowing that you're safe in the now, that you can experience miracles, which are much better than fantasy because they actually happen. Miracles do happen. I have so much proof about this. Fantasies don't because they're fake. They're fantasy. So think about this. If we want to be in reality and have the possibility of our real dreams, our miraculous dreams that we are putting our intention and energy into, right? Instead of it being undependable, it's actually dependable because it's you being in you and creating this with law of attraction, with intention, with emotion. You can become what you put your energy into. You cannot become a fantasy that's never a reality. So I hope this hits you somewhere that counts today, and I hope you'll share this video with at least one person you think it might reach or help in some way. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Please go find me on social media. I'm now on Instagram and also TikTok. I'm new at TikTok, so bear with me, but it's fun. Again, I adore you guys. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you soon.